With the fast pace of change today, managers and leaders need to keep adapting as they guide their teams and organizations toward the vision and mission of the company. Historically, management has been pegged as a process of maintaining the status quo. While it is important to see that managers are skilled at organizing and developing good structures and controls, a balanced perspective also sees management as bringing important change into being. So let's adjust our thinking to see managers as agents of change. Managers lead change through good decision-making processes that resolve conflict and work through power struggles. Let's discuss how these three disciplines are part of the manager's change process. In the midst of a crisis or urgent situation, managers need to be more directive with decision-making. Yet most of the change that happens in our organizations is not the result of a crisis. We are not referring to crisis management in this session. In this session, let's talk about regular change management. Statistics show that approximately 50 to 75% of our change efforts fail in our organizations. We need to ask ourselves, why is this happening? Here is what we are finding could be the reason for such a high failure rate with change. We have tended to focus on the structural elements of change, including good systems and operations, technology, and objectives that will support the change. What we have failed to do is to see the importance of people in the midst of change efforts and how people actually respond to change. The people who are being impacted by the change effort need to weigh in and process the change to give the change a chance to be successful. There is a key reason managers need to be wise about using collaborative decision-making processes. As you study the decision-making models this week, develop your own decision-making model. As you do, determine how and when you will bring people into your decision-making processes so that you are including people in decisions that actually affect them. Leaving them out could be detrimental to decisions being executed successfully. This results in change failure. As we engage others in decision-making processes, we are likely to run into conflict and power struggles. Conflict comes about over differences in opinion and purpose. Power struggles happen when people feel insecure about getting what is important to them, so they try to control the outcome by using force or manipulation. It is important for managers to remain engaged in the change process rather than ignore or avoid the tensions that are a result of the conflict and jockeying for control. This week's resources can begin to offer managers some support as they consider how to remain engaged. If you are interested in further study of this dynamic in the Bible, consider reading Acts chapter 6, verses 1 through 7. In this story, there's tension amongst the disciples. The Greek followers are in conflict with the Hebrew followers because they feel like their widows are being mistreated and overlooked when it comes to the distribution of food. At that time, this was an especially important situation because God specifically stated the importance of caring for widows because they were quite vulnerable at that time when women had little to no option of earning a living. So the disciples are serious about wanting to see the situation resolved with the widows being well cared for. In a church setting today, a similar situation could be that you have a group of people come to your church to seek refuge in coming out of human trafficking or sexual slavery. Or in an academic setting, this could be similar to having a group of young students who are not being offered the same fairness or opportunity as other students. Or in a business setting, you could have found that some resources or finances were mismanaged, and another department or group of people were given more than their fair share. Whatever your setting, this story shows us how the executive leaders led through an unfair situation. Let's look at what these 12 leaders do at a deeper level. Do they come up with an idea amongst themselves and then force it on the group and expect the group to change? No. They approach the larger group with the situation. They are transparent about the issue, explain that they need to focus on their current roles and responsibilities, and they ask the larger group for other leaders that can help resolve the situation. The larger group is given freedom to choose 7 other leaders that will see to it that the widows are cared for fairly. Then look at what happened. The proposal pleased the entire group. How often does that happen? Well, it's more likely to happen when we engage the people who are affected by the problem in resolving it. So, in this situation, the larger community got involved in the issue and then implemented the plan. And look at the result. The Word of God spread so much so that even a large number of religious leaders became obedient to the faith. Keep in mind that the religious leaders were resistant, so the fact that at this point they are coming around to the faith is amazing. Well, let's just say that it is a miracle. So this miracle happened as a result of the works of God through a group of executive leaders who were forthright about the need, invited the group to weigh in, empowered the group, and allowed the group to implement the plan. This is a great biblical example of how change can be implemented in a way that engages people rather than causes them to resist the change. Our hope is that this video supports you as you consider how decision-making, conflict, and power impact the manager's vital role as change agent. My prayer is that God will give you wisdom and discernment as you study the resources this week and find your pathway towards making decisions and managing the tensions along the way. Thank you for engaging in this time together.